Hi there, and welcome to the Curious Collective podcast. Conversations designed for the conscious community to bring awareness to those holistic practices to help you live your best life. So tap into the wisdom and knowledge of our guests to heal, transform, and live as your true soulful self. So we are blessed today to have with us Ruth. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Kate. How are you?
Good. So I'm not going to waste too much more time because the listeners are going to love this. Can you please introduce yourself and what it is that you do?
So I'm Ruth Hatton, and I predominantly am an animal naturopath. I also am an energy worker. So that's wrapped into my offerings that I provide to support animals using natural and holistic modalities. So that's things like nutrition, herbal medicine, flower essences, essential oils, food-based supplementation, obviously energy healing. And I also, it's not just about the animals for me, because what's often missed is the human's role that is played in making sure that our fur babes are living their best life that they can. And from an energetic perspective, they are taking on our energy all the time. So because that's part of their agreement with us, that's part of the unconditional love that they provide us to help us. And so they, transmute our energy to help us live a better life. And so, for me, it's a really big, important part of the whole piece in terms of natural animal care is looking after yourself is just as important as all the things that you are doing to support your animal. And in terms of the natural side of things, like we're exposed to toxins everywhere. Even at home, even if we have like a low tox home, we still have chemicals in our home, and our animals actually absorb more chemicals than we do. So it is something that's really, I am very passionate about low tox pets and things like that as well. So yeah, I mean, it captures a whole lot of things, but in terms of the umbrella, it's like animal naturopath and energy worker.
Oh, I love it. So important. I mean, nearly everyone I know has a pet of some sort, absolutely everyone. So being able to find ways to support them naturally is amazing. I know my Rottweiler, he hurt his shoulder, and I didn't necessarily want to take him to the vet because it didn't feel right. So, to have someone like you to be able to just say, what can I do? How can I support him best? What are some ways that we can work together on this? That would be good.
Yeah, and there's obviously, I'm not a replacement. I don't have any intention of replacing vets, right? Because there are things that vets do that, or one, I'm not allowed to do, and two, I don't have the skills to do. It's kind of like that, more like those acute conditions, like a broken bone or something, or very serious acute disease state where support is needed straight away. It needs to act straight away to relieve some of the symptoms, and diagnostics, I can't make a diagnosis, right? So depending on what was going on with your Roddy's like shoulder, like, I can't x-ray or do an MRI or do any of those kinds of things. So there's this complementary, the way I see vets and me working together is more of that complementary approach.
Yeah. And even I know a lot of people that I know have really anxious animals, being able to take their animals to you or speak with you in an appointment to ways to support anxious animals, that would be something that you would work with.
Definitely. And there's a lot of anxious animals, and oftentimes their humans are really anxious too. And so, sorry, there's a truck going past. I'm not sure if that will be, it's a rubbish truck. So, they're quite noisy with their squeaking brakes.
Noisy.
Right outside my house right now, emptying my bins. But often, what was I going to say? Yeah, the anxious animals will have the anxious humans. And it's like, I just did a healing session this morning, and in the intake form that the client filled out before the session, she mentioned some anxiety that she had. And so I do the session, and the chakra that showed up for me that needed the most clearing, it was no surprise to me because of the anxiousness that she was having about this particular issue, that it was showing up in the relevant chakra on the dog. And is that a combination of the dog's own energy and the human's anxious energy? Very, very possible. But yeah, it is like, you know, in terms of the conventional anxiety treatment, you've got animals that are on like Valium and antidepressants and all kinds of chemical drugs that, in my opinion, animals should never be given. And, you know, nature is amazing, and nature provides us with so many healing resources. Like herbs, for me, herbs, I'd say the 3 options for animals with anxiety: herbs, flower essences, energy healing, whether it's one or a combination of, you know, 2 or more, right? It really, a lot of it comes down to one, what the human feels is right, what I feel is right. And then it's a matter of, well, let's try this first and see how we go with that. And oftentimes, you know, I get excellent feedback around, like their behavior has completely changed. And that's just using natural remedies that don't have any of those nasty side effects.
Yeah, I love that. And you know, a question's popped into my head that I think would be really interesting to talk about is being ex-military. I know a lot of people that have support dogs, companion dogs. So if you were a support for someone that, like as us, we would know how to shield ourselves, and we'd know how to conserve our energy, and we could ground ourselves or cleanse or anything like that. How do these animals that are 24/7 carers for these people with high level needs, like how do they do that? Like, or how is there a way that these people, because some of them I can, you know, send this link to, can help to support their dogs to be able to have a rest and replenish?
Yeah, and rest is the key, right? When animals sleep more than we do, right? And I believe that is because they are doing so much here on this planet to clear energy, right? And so they need to rest more. And there's also, like, cats, very, very spiritual, right? And I read this thing somewhere that said cats are doing their work when they're resting. Like, we just think, you know, cats are so lazy and they sleep. I mean, I don't think that, but non-cat people think that, right? I was like, well, no, they're working. They've got like serious work to do, clearing the energy on this planet. Geez, you know. But yeah, it's about, it's actually interesting. That also ties in with the healing session I just did that I mentioned before. Like, there was a clear message in there to rest, restore, recuperate when I was working on the root chakra. Again, is that the energy, is that a message associated with the dog, or is there a message associated with the dog's human, or is it a combination of the two, given the role that the dog is taking on and shifting and moving the human's energy, as well as dealing with their own energy? But it is about resting and creating an environment where an animal who's in a support, and this dog is also in a support role, right?
Yeah.
For those animals that are in those support roles, whether it's once a week or every day or whatever the frequency is, it's something where they're required to do more than a standard domesticated animal. And so support, I mean, obviously, you know, the basic principles of natural care for animals is making sure that they do have a healthy diet. You know, it could be incorporating some regular energy healing, or, you know, other kinds of energy medicine like the flower essences, you know, just to help to get the animal into that calmer state quicker. You know, particular herbs that can help them to rest, restore, recuperate, rejuvenate, you know, given the words that came through for me earlier. But there are certainly things that, you know, for these animals who do have that role as being a support animal, that there certainly are things that can be done to make their life just a little bit more comfortable and bring some more ease into their
We all
world.
want our animals to be happy.
Exactly right.
And what are your favorite animals to work with? You said you love cats.
Well, I mean, I love cats. Cats are my jam, right? I have 3. I would have 10 if I could, but my youngest is very territorial. He'd probably destroy them all. So I have 3. I've always had cats. Most of my life I've had dogs as well. But I love all animals, like lions, tigers, bears, elephants, giraffes, rhinos, zebras, you name it, I love it, right? Like there's no, obviously I don't really get to work with zebras and giraffes.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome if I had someone contact me for a healing session for the giraffe at their like rescue place. That would be amazing.
Let's manifest that in for you.
Yeah, if anyone's out there has got some giraffes and rhinos and zebras, I'd love to help out. But like I said, cats are my jam. My strongest affinity is with cats. And even when I did my studies way back when, my original studies in animal naturopathy, there was a heavy focus in the program around dogs. There actually wasn't much teaching in there around cats. And I was like, well, I don't just want to help dogs because of this special affinity that I have with cats. And so I bought a bunch of textbooks associated with cats and basically factored them all into my assignments so that I could be assessed on that. And I know people that out there that have also doing the course, and I see that a lot of people, I mean, there aren't many animal naturopaths. There are a few more like pet nutritionists, but most of them do have a very dog heavy focus. Whereas mine is like, I guess if I'm looking at my client list for the year, there always are more dogs than cats, but I think that's just because of the way that people are around dogs and cats. People do, even if they've got a multi-species household, people, I've certainly had clients come to me about the dog and I find out about the cats. I'm like, well, what about your cat? So, I'll start with the dog first. So there's this, and I'm just like, don't forget about your cat. And I'm not saying it of, give me more money. It's more of the basis of, we can't be forgetting about our cats. Our cats are so special, just as special. And they actually take on a bigger workload, I believe, than dogs do because of their spiritual prowess. Not to say that dogs aren't spiritual, of course they are, but cats are just kind of like spirit masters, right? So, it's like, I see that in my practice is most people will focus on their dogs first or only, and there's this less of a, there's this, cats have this reputation of they can just take care of themselves. And it's why you see cats roaming the neighborhood and getting into mischief, and it's why you see all the cat haters and everything. And it's like, it's treat your cat, and people think that, well, cats aren't as loyal. And it's like, well, they totally are.
Oh my goodness, they are so loyal.
It comes down to, how are you treating your cat? What are you fostering? Are you fostering a relationship where they are loyal, where they love you as much as your dog loves you? Because cats are not dogs, and you can't expect a cat to behave like a dog if you're treating the cat like a dog, or if you're expecting the cat to be like a dog. It's about getting to know who your animals are, what they're like as a species, but then what they're like and who they're like as an individual. And when you get to know that about your animal, that is when you can really strengthen that bond. And it doesn't matter what species they are. When you find out what it is to connect, what it takes to connect to a particular species, that's when you will build that beautiful, beautiful bond with your animal. But don't treat your cat like a dog.
Nice. Right? I love it.
I started recently whistling at my cats to come in, and I'm like, where did I start doing it? Why did I start doing this? They're not dogs. But I don't know, it works. So I'm like, okay.
Maybe they like it.
Maybe they like it. I don't know.
So what got you into this work? What sort of started you down the path to where you are today?
So I used to be a lawyer, very different.
Complete opposite.
Complete opposite, mostly in construction law, right? And I was a lawyer for 17 years.
Yeah, wow.
Mostly construction. I had a stint in animal law, and then I did some pro bono animal law work, just like my dream. It was my dream job at the time. I did some other stuff as well, like strata law and class actions and general commercial litigation type stuff. But it was all apart from the animal law, it was all just kind of
a job.
A soul destroying job, basically. I knew it was never anything that I could do forever. And it was when I came back from Sydney, when I left my animal lawyer job, I went back into private practice. And I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to die if I keep doing this. And so I decided, right, I'm going to create a new life. I'm going to create a new career for myself. And I did a little thing. I was like, well, what do I love? What am I most passionate about? I'm like, well, hello, animals, because ever since I came out of my mum's womb, I'm pretty sure, if not before, that I loved animals. So I knew it had to be something to do with animals. And also with my animal lawyer job that I had, it was very emotionally stressful and taxing because of the subject matter that we were dealing with.
Yeah.
Factory farming and the commercial kangaroo industry, like really horrible industries. We saw horrible things, footage that was just the way that these animals were being treated. It's very hard. And so coming home to my cats was such a blessing. And so I knew that I had to have that involvement. There had to be animals in my career. And then it's like, well, I also love wellness and nature. So it had to have that too, right? And I was like, well, maybe I'll become a naturopath. Not that that had anything to do with animals. And then my mum said, why don't you be an animal naturopath? And I was like, does that even exist? And she's like, yes. I'm like, oh, that would be amazing. That like merges everything into one. And then I Googled and I found a course and I signed up to it. It took me forever to do because I was still working, and I did it. I started my business in the second year of doing my studies once I was qualified in the nutrition aspect. So I was just offering like nutritional guidance, and I went to the Mind Body Spirit Festival and got like a whole bunch of clients, and it was great. And then I just added on with each component as I tracked through the course. And then there's obviously the energy aspect of my business, which came in about maybe 5 years ago. And yeah, I started, I've been into spirituality for a very long time. But there was just someone said to me, you should do Reiki. I'm like, yeah, maybe. I'm not really interested in doing it for people. And then it was like, well, what about the animals? I'm like, yes. So then I did my Reiki 1, and then a year later I did my Reiki 2, and then I actually started offering sessions for animals and for people. So I had these, like, the name just changed now, but same concept, Reiki for you and your fur babe, where so I do like the human and the animal together. So yeah, that's kind of, it was really just following my passion and then researching and creating a plan and then committing to it and making it happen and believing that I could make it happen. Because there were certainly people along the way saying, can you like actually make a job out of this? Can you actually make money out of doing this?
Oh,
And
those
I'm
people
like,
are the
yes,
ones that
I
help you go
can.
further.
Yeah, like all the haters. There's always going to be haters. And it was like, yes, I can. I know I can. Just shut up, right? No, don't talk to me. I'm fine. I don't need your energy. I don't need your negative energy impacting and preventing me from going down this path. And I just always believed that, yes, I can do this because this is the work that I'm supposed to be doing. And because I am a very dedicated, committed individual when it comes to anything. Well, that's not necessarily true because I'm not really committed to being a lawyer.
Oh, it sounded good. You should have just stuck with that with conviction.
I know, but when it's something that I'm passionate about, I'm very committed. Like there is nothing that's going to stand in my way.
Yeah. And I love that you had such belief in yourself because, the people now that you're working with, they need you. There's so much of a need for this out there. And where I feel like, and you can tell me your take on it, is right now we're at a time where people are getting super curious. People are looking outside of conventional means. I mean, Mind Body Spirit Festival, I worked the whole 3 days just a couple of weeks back. Oh my God.
Full on, isn't it?
So many people, the crowds were massive, and everyone just wants to find that next thing. What is it that I can do to, help me feel better, to bring more joy into my life, to, whatever it might be. How can I help my pet more? How can I, all these things. So your work is very much needed.
Yeah, I know it is because I see it and the results that I get with the animals, that I'm so lucky and privileged to work with, that people entrust me with caring for their animals. You know, when I look back at my journey, it's like I still kind of think, and now I'm in this full time, and I actually only started this full time last year. 11th
Oh,
of May
wow.
was my final day as a lawyer.
Yeah.
I was working like 2 days a week still as a lawyer, and I was just breaking down in tears. It's like, I can't do this anymore. Can't do it anymore. It's killing me. It's killing me. So I took a leap of faith. I'm like, I'm done. Like, my business is growing and clients are starting to get antsy at me because it's taking me so long to do stuff, and I cannot have this impacting my business and my work, right? And so I just called it, and I was like, holy crap, I'm so scared.
How fantastic, though.
But I've got to do it. And you know what? I sit at home because most of my work, like, I have clients all over the world. I don't restrict myself to location. And most of my work, I'm at home, like I'm still desk bound and computer bound. But I'm doing work that I love, you know, and it's like, it doesn't, like, literally, I think it was last night or this morning, I actually worked until like 12:30 last night because I got this wave of, like, which is not healthy, but I just got this burst of motivation to do this
Sometimes
thing.
you got to do it when you've got the inspiration.
You've just got to ride it, right? So needless to say, I'm quite tired today. I did, being my own boss, I could allow myself to sleep in because I didn't have to be, my first appointment wasn't until 11 and it was at home anyway. And then, you know, so I was like, oh, I didn't get out of bed till like 8:45, but it was broken sleep. But it's the freedom that comes with it. But I was like, oh, get out of bed because I'm excited about the day. I would never have felt that because I knew I was going to be sending an email to my list about my new webinar, and I was going to promote it on my socials tonight. And so I was just excited to get Pat putting this new thing out there. Whereas back in the day, being a lawyer, it would have been like,
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what? This is great that you've brought this up, because so many of the previous episodes, when I've heard people's journey and where they're at now, and they're doing their passion, their joy, what they're here to do, such a common thread is just do it. Like, if you're in a job where you don't wake up and it's not exciting, or you're not loving what you do, really highly consider looking at something else that's going to bring you joy, because it's great to live in that, you know, vibration of excitement. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing my next client. I'm really excited about seeing my next client, you know?
Exactly. I'm excited about being able to support them and get the results for them. But it's like, I mean, most people are too scared, right? There's so much fear, and most people are too scared to make the change. But I mean, some people, you know, if you've got financial support, you can make the change quicker. I didn't. So I felt that I had to have that slow journey to getting where I am today in 2022. Like, I've been running my business since 2015, but only full-time for just over a year. You know, so it was a long time that I was still hanging on to the lawyer work, the financial security, until it got to the point where I cannot do this anymore. It was non-negotiable, right? It was just like, I don't have a choice. Time is up.
Well, you did make a choice. You chose you.
But yeah, I chose me. I didn't have, like, I had a choice, but I didn't have a choice around staying. It just wasn't an option anymore.
Yeah, 100% get you.
So, and if you don't take the leap, well, you're never going to know. And who wants to? I always have that visual of sitting on I hope I get this home one day, on this massive block of land in this wooden house with this big wraparound deck, and I'm sitting on the deck looking at my beautiful land and all my rescue animals, and I'm like 90 or whatever. And who wants to sit there in that scene and have regrets, right? Imagine if I'd be like, oh, I've been a lawyer for all this time and I didn't do that.
I feel like you're going to be on that beautiful land with all those rescue animals a lot sooner than 90, my friend.
I hope so.
Call that in. So,
well, I said to my cat, one of my cats the other day, who likes to sit on the top of the couch, I was lying there, it was Monday, which is one of my days off. And I looked at him and I'm like, Maxie, 5 years, let's be there in 5 years, buddy. You'll be really old by then. You'll be like, I had this full-on conversation with him about, you'll be 18 by then, but that's okay. You know, you'll get to be we'll get to our forever home.
Yes.
5 years. So it
Oh,
came out of
well, you've put it
nowhere.
out there now. You've
Put it
told
out
Maxie
there. So
it's going to
Maxie's
happen.
going to help make it happen, because he's like, yep, I've communicated with the powers that be. 5 years.
So tell me about this tattoo I keep seeing on your arm there.
This one, or which one?
I like this
No,
little paws.
The paw prints. I got that a few years ago. Well, probably 4 or 5 years ago, when I was still living in Brisbane. And I just wanted something animal.
I love it.
And it wasn't intended, like, it totally syncs with the fact that I have 3 cats and there's 3 paws. But that wasn't the plan. It was literally just the design. It wasn't until after I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense because I have 3 cats. But it's in a great spot, and this wasn't intended either. But because I must have a talent in me, because I speak a lot with my hands. But because of the way that I do that, my verbal gesturing, it's often seen.
Yeah, I like it. So if our wonderful listeners want to know more about how to help support any of their animals from a natural perspective, using your skills as an animal naturopath, what sort of advice do you have them, or what programs do you offer? Tell us all about you.
There are so many things, Kate. There are so many things, keeping in mind that I've been doing this for 7 years, and I'm constantly creating and constantly having gazillion ideas. And I'm like, I'm an Aries, and so I'm an action person. I'm like, yes. I have an idea, right? I've got to do it. I've got to do it now. Bam. This is crazy. So in terms of, I always say diet is the foundation of good health, right? But it's not the only thing, but it's a good place to start, right? Because diet, even when you're talking about the energy perspective, diet has a role in that as well. It doesn't just apply to the physical body. So I would usually say start with diet, and, whether people want to have a one-on-one consult with me, that's certainly available. But I also have ebooks. I have these ebooks, the Real Food Diet for Dogs and the Real Food Diet for Cats. And if you've got both dogs and cats, you can get the bundle and save. Awesome. Get like 1 for 50% off, because I like to encourage people not to forget about their cats, right? Yes,
cat advocate.
Because, they are different animals, there are different aspects to their diet that need to be taken into account. Then there's things like and the wellness consults that I have and the wellness programs, they go beyond diet. They capture the animal's whole state of well-being: diet, supplements, lifestyle, environment, everything. And all the recommendations that I make are all put into there. I've got a bunch of free stuff on my website under the free resources tab. So I'm running, I don't know when this is going to air, but probably after this happens, maybe, I don't know. But I'm running a free webinar next week on natural pet care. I've got a bunch of recorded workshops that are on my website: gut health, decoding pet food labels. So actually being able to understand whether a pet food. Yeah. So all of these are on my website. And then I have programs and courses. So September, I'll be running my nutrition course. So that's a real deep dive into pet nutrition. I think I've changed the name of it. It's called something like Real Food Nutrition for Pets, or Real, something like that. I can't remember. So that starts off in September. You can join the waitlist now to get an email to say, hey, we're kicking off soon, save your seat kind of thing. I've got another program which I'm actually running through the moment called Heal Together. And it's my little baby. I mean, they all are, but this kind of ties together the connection between humans and animals. And it's like a 12-week healing journey for the humans and their fur babes to literally heal together. Yeah. You get all the practical advice in terms of we have coaching calls that delivers the practical advice about diet, supplements, movement, dental, water, basically it covers all of the pillars of holistic wellness. And then there's energy healing for the humans and the animals. There are sharing circles. There's all things wrapped up into that. So I'll be running that I want to run that every year. So I think it'll be run again because it's happening now. So it won't happen again until May, but there's also a waitlist sign up on my website for that too. So and then there's obviously the energy healing work that I do. But yeah, I mean, there's lots, as you can see, ebooks, workshops, one-on-ones, group programs.
And it sort of caters to, wherever someone's at, there's something there for them to get started.
Exactly. And products too. I've got a shop on my website with a bunch of herbal products, flower essence products, some standard blends, some bespoke blends that I make up particularly for the individual animal. So there's a lot of stuff on my website.
And I can clearly see you love what you do. And I love that you're a creator of new programs and that it's an evolution. You see the need, you create and deliver. I love that.
Yeah, workshops too. So I like to run at least 1 or 2 new workshops every year. So I have a herbal workshop that I ran for the first time this year in January. I want to run it every January. That would be a live workshop. But then I've got pre-records that I'm actually going to be running again and adding a live component in it. And I've already got plans for my first new workshop later in the year. So really good idea for people to even just sign up to my list. Like they can get, one of the freebies or all of the freebies, which whatever floats their boat. So they get onto my list and then they will get reminders about or be updated about when these things are happening, the workshops, or follow me on Instagram. Because obviously I share it on there too, but yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love that you're a cat advocate. I think that people that listen to this will take cats a little bit more seriously now. Thank you so much for all your knowledge and wisdom. I'm really looking forward to having a decent look at your website, and anyone that's interested in any of the text, wherever you be listening to this, there will be links to catch up with Ruth at her website and all the places that she hangs out. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Kate. It's been a
Bye.
pleasure.